द क्रिटिकल पेट्रियट देखने वाले सब दोस्तों को खुशामदीद। आज मेरे साथ अमेरिका के शहर शार्लेट नॉर्थ कैरोलिना से शरीक गुफ्तगू हैं डॉक्टर अमित शाह। डॉक्टर साहब का ताल्लुक जो है अहमदाबाद से है और ये 1992 से अमेरिका में मुकीम है। डॉक्टर साहब, सबसे पहले तो आपका जो नाम है बहुत से पाकिस्तानियों को बहुत इंटरेस्टिंग लगेगा, अनयूजुअल लगेगा। शाह, वो ये समझते हैं कि शाह इज अ टिपिकल उर्दू और अरबिक वर्ड और इवन पर्शियन वर्ड, यानी बादशाह के सेंस में भी शाह यूज होता है और सैयद के सेंस में भी, यानी डिसेंडेंट्स ऑफ द प्रॉफिट दे यूज दिस टाइटल शाह। और मजे की बात यह है कि सैयद का लफ्ज भी यूज किया जाता है इस सेंस में। और मॉडर्न अरबी में आप हैरान होंगे कि सैयद का मतलब होता है मिस्टर। आप
I
अमेरिकन
think
फिल्में देखें, अमेरिकन फिल्में आप देखें ना जी सब टाइटल्स के साथ, तो जहां जहां मिस्टर आता है वो नीचे तर्जुमा उसका जहां जहां मिस्टर आता है तो नीचे अरबी में सैयद लिखा होता है। और हमारे मौलाना मौदूदी ने एक दफा कहा था, बहुत बड़े स्कॉलर थे वो, कि जब हम अरब मुल्कों में जाते हैं तो हम शेख हो जाते हैं। मौलवी को शेख कहते हैं अरबी में।
I
और
see.
जब और जब पंडित नेहरू जो हैं वो जाते हैं अरब तो वो सैयद हो जाते हैं।
Very interesting.
या तो आप कैसे रोशनी डालेंगे अपने नाम पर?
So, first of all, thank you, Shakil Saib. First of all, I like the name of the channel, Critical Patriot, because
थैंक यू।
from my perspective, patriot it is someone who actually has to be critical, um, and not just following a blindly something. So for any patriot, it is very important. So I like the name of the channel, by the way. So congratulations for
थैंक यू
that.
वेरी मच।
And I'm very happy to be with you on this day. Coming back to myself, I'm an integrative physician practicing in North Carolina, and this integrative medicine is a relatively newly developing emerging specialty, you can call it, which focuses on wellness with the integrative approach, meaning thereby that it is a holistic approach. It takes into account a lot of other healing systems from the world, which includes Ayurveda, Unani, Chinese medicine, herbal medicine, botanical medicine, and all those healing systems and their good complementary effects on the body, they are taken into account. So I'm really very happy that I was able to take a special certification in addition to my other training here.
क्या इसमें होम्योपैथी भी शामिल है?
होम्योपैथी भी शामिल है। सो होम्योपैथी जो यूरोप में काफ़ी पॉपुलर है, हमारे साउथ एशिया में, इंडिया में आयुर्वेदा, आई एम श्योर यूनानी इज ऑल्सो यूज टू बी प्रैक्टिस्ड अ लॉट। आई एम नॉट श्योर कि अभी कितनी प्रैक्टिस हो रही है, बिकॉज इट इज स्टिल एन अरेबिक पर्शियन herbal medicine healing system. Of course, acupuncture, Chinese medicine is also has a complementary and um, what we call supportive role. The key part is that the Western medicine, which is mainly focused on disease and symptoms, is very, very costly, and for the humankind, I think it's unsustainable. Now, I want to come back to my last name, Amit Shah, because in Pakistan and India, the name of Amit Shah is nowadays very popular because Amit Shah is a interior minister, home minister of India. And he actually happens to be from my city where I grew up, and I was born and grew up in city of Ahmedabad. But Shah in India, especially in Gujarat, are actually 99% they are either Hindus or Jain. And mostly, you go back to the caste kind of historical line, they are more Baniyas. So most of the Shahs from Gujarat either are Hindus or Jain, and they actually, hail from the Baniya caste community in that sense. So I'm just trying to give you a perspective. Again, the caste has changed a lot in India, especially in the cities.
Sir, Baniya means trading community. Am I right?
Yes,
Uh-huh.
and and most of the Shahs, as I said, either are Hindus or Jain, originally from Baniya community. That's kind of a. I'm just trying to give you a sort of a historical perspective. My family mostly is professional. My dad used to be professor. My uncle is a pediatrician. Shahs are either into the mostly trading community, professional, but those lines are getting blurred. Fortunately, kafi there have been a tremendous changes in the caste combinations in India in last, I would say, 25 years.
अच्छा, अमित शाह जो हैं वो भी जैन हैं, और लाहौर में आपको पता है एक बहुत मशहूर जैन मंदिर है। और जब वो बाबरी मस्जिद का वाकया हुआ था इंडिया में, तो जैन मंदिर वाज आल्सो डिमोलिश्ड और अटैक्ड एक्चुअली। तो वो जो है लोगों में इतना नहीं होता कि भाई हिंदुइज्म इज डिफरेंट फ्रॉम जैनिज्म इन मेनी वेज। तो जैनिज्म, हाउ डिड इट कम इनटू बीइंग? ये इट वाज अ रिबेलियन अगेंस्ट कास्ट रिजिडिटी।
Yeah, so Jainism and Buddhism are contemporary religions started almost 2500 years ago. And in those days, it kind of started as a rebellion against a lot of, caste, a lot of violence, a lot of exploitation. And it started from the southern Bihar, which is right now Jharkhand. That's where Jainism and Buddhism started actually. So in Jainism, there is no casteism. In all Jains are equal. But I would say that I think Jainism, to a large degree, there are so many common, I would say, traditions which are similar to Hinduism. So growing up in Ahmedabad, I many times never felt that Jainism is that much different from Hinduism. Of course, there are some differences. Primarily, the Jainism focus is non-violence and what I call pluralism, anekantvad. That is, these are the two major contributions of Jainism to India and at a world level, non-violence and pluralism. What I mean by pluralism is that more than two person can be right at the same time, and this principle of anekantvad is extremely important for current conflict resolve, because everybody is looking from their angle, their life experience, and they can be right to a great degree in their way, but the truth is so vast that someone looking at the truth from a different angle can be right in his own way, and someone at the same time looking from a different angle. And I think most of our conflicts, if you look at it historically, we debate on creation of Pakistan, or say, for example, Gujarat riots or some other events. Everybody has different perspective. But coming back to my roots, Ahmedabad, of course, we talk about Jainism. So Ahmedabad is a very, very unique city, which I think South Asia overall has to understand because it is so important. It has been founded in almost 1411 by Ahmed Shah King, but it has a tremendous relevance in the modern history of India and South Asia, because it was Gandhi who started his independence movement and made Ahmedabad as a nerve center for the independence movement. So all his independent movements, the base was Ahmedabad. If you remember 1930, the famous Salt March, the Dandi Kuch March, started from Ahmedabad.
Mhm.
If you look at the modern Indian history, 1974, the famous anti-corruption movement in India started in Ahmedabad, which ultimately resulted into uprooting Indira Gandhi in 1975. You look at 1981, the famous anti-reservation agitation
Mhm.
started in Ahmedabad. Actually, started in our medical school.
Mhm.
And currently, Prime Minister Modi and Home Minister Amit Shah both are from Ahmedabad. Mr. Modi started his political career from Ahmedabad. He was MLA, and then, of course, he was Chief Minister. Amit Shah was MLA also from Ahmedabad. So, if you look at Ahmedabad politically, socio-politically, I think that Ahmedabad is a socio-political nerve center, a political laboratory, so to speak, of India. And therefore it is very, very important to understand that historical perspective. And lot of course, it is known for business, as Gujarat is known for business around the world. You know, the Ambanis and Adani, like, say, for example, the richest man of Asia actually right now is from Ahmedabad. So it has a lot of different political and business perspective. And Ahmedabad is a very, very vibrant and thriving city. It used to be the capital, and then, of course, Gandhinagar, which is the adjoining twin city, was made capital.
और ये फरमाइएगा कि एक बुलेट ट्रेन भी बन रही है ना अहमदाबाद और मुंबई के दरमियान।
Yes.
वो भी एक बड़ी खबर होगी जब वो शुरू हो जाएगी। तो अदानी जी जो हैं, द रिचेस्ट मैन इन एशिया एज यू पुट इट, इज ही आल्सो अ जैन?
नहीं, अदानी जैन नहीं है.
हम्म
I think he's Hindu. But as
हम्म
I said, when you go to Ahmedabad, you will not see much difference.
हम्म
People will not identify too much whether Jain hai ya Hindu hai, because have been kafi, there are a lot, inter Jain and Hindu marriages, things like that. So really, it has become a cohesive group in a way. I would not project Jainism as a completely separate religion in that sense. There is so much common, and socially also, if you go to Ahmedabad, I mean, there are a lot of Jain temples and Hindu temples, and people will be going to, whoever they want to believe, and whatnot. I mean, there are
हम्म
families, in my own families I have Jains, and then I have, Hindu, um, who have married into our family, and vice versa.
हम्म।
So it has become a more or less homogeneous, I would say, society.
अच्छा, जब भी गुजरात का जिक्र आता है ना डॉक्टर साहब, तो गुजरात राइट्स का जिक्र आता है। अगरचे
Yes.
अच्छी बात यह है कि 2002 के बाद अब तक कोई राइट नहीं हुआ गुजरात में, और उस वक्त जो राइट्स के रिस्पॉन्सिबल लोग थे, बहुत सारों को सजाएं भी हुई। तो फिर भी आप कैसे देखते हैं उस चैप्टर को?
देखो, Gujarat riot, what we also can call Godhra riot, is I would say, a black spot in the history of India. There is no doubt about that. Before that riot, you can probably think about Delhi riots after the Indira Gandhi was assassinated, and a lot of Sikhs were killed during that time. So I would consider, no matter whichever way we can look at the history, but Gujarat riot has been a black spot in a modern Indian history. And ultimate blame has to go to whoever was in charge. It was, I think, in my opinion, a failure of administration, um, failure of law and order. But I want to point out one important aspect of that history that everybody need to know, that it started from Godhra, where 57 Hindu pilgrims or Ram Mandikar Sevaks were burned alive in one
59,
of
I
the,
think. Ji.
yes. So, and that was a very, I would say, sensitive event, which really how everything started. And because of that, I think for a couple of days after that, the whole Gujarat, I'm sure whole India, watched those pictures and the news, and they were really already very angry in a way. And in the whole 1 week or 2 weeks after that incident, I think official figures are that more than 1,000 people were killed. We also have to remember that 25% of people who were killed were actually Hindus. But it does not justify anything, actually. Ultimately, I see that as a black spot. Ultimately, I see that a failure of law and order, and lot of religious feelings were hurt. But at the end of the day, if I see the common average man, poor man, who, and they are the real sufferers.
True.
And I'm glad that there are many people who are convicted. Also, of course, there are many who may not be able to convict, or they were not convicted, partly because I think the legal system in India, and I'm sure for in Pakistan, is still very, I would say, primitive in a way. There are a lot of flaws in our legal
Mhm.
system. So if we want to prove something, it is very difficult. And when many years pass, a lot of witnesses really are kind of not available, or they change their mind. So the legal system itself is an issue. But considering all the point, I don't think any Indian can be proud of Gujarat riots. But I
Right.
think, I always think that in whichever way, from media perspective, from education perspective, most of the Pakistanis, because they are not exposed to kind of a comprehensive angles, their interpretation of the events are always or mostly from the Muslim angle.
आपने डॉक्टर साहब गोधरा का जिक्र किया। हमारे एक प्राइम मिनिस्टर थे 50s में, आई चुंदरीगर। ही केम फ्रॉम गोधरा, और उनके नाम पे एक बहुत मशहूर जो है रोड वहाँ कराची की, उसका नाम आई चुंदरीगर रोड है, जिसपे बहुत से फाइनेंशियल इंस्टीट्यूशंस हैं। अच्छा सर, आपने एक ऑर्गेनाइजेशन भी बनाई है, कायम की है, टू प्रमोट पीस बिटवीन इंडिया एंड पाकिस्तान, एंड इनफैक्ट इन साउथ एशिया। तो उसके बारे में कुछ बताइएगा। और एक कांग्रेसमैन है, ही इज ऑफ इंडियन बैकग्राउंड, रोहित खन्ना। बेसिकली ही इज अ पंजाबी। तो वो इससे पहले भी कांग्रेसमैन रहे हैं, और वो इंटरेस्टिंगली पाकिस्तानी कॉकस के भी मेंबर हैं और इंडिया कॉकस के भी मेंबर हैं। दैट इज रादर अनयूजुअल। इन दो तीन चीजों के बारे में बताइएगा प्लीज।
Yes, thank you. So almost 20 years ago, when there was a India-Pakistan nuclear flashpoint जब बना था, उस टाइम पे I felt very strong कि this is something genuinely we need to do something about it. Fortunately, I was in contact with a Pakistani physician, Dr. Jafar Iqbal, and we talked, we met. And at that time, we formed a informal group called AAPPSA, Association of Physicians of South Asia, which we have kind of now extended as American Alliance for Peace and Prosperity for South Asia. And we have a very simple 4-point formula. Rather than going into too much conflict and too much controversy. We ultimately, what we are thinking is that if we can improve health, education, environment, and legal system, and if we focus on these four basic points, I think, and then the fifth one would be the what we call the civic engagement, the democracy part. If we work on these 4 5 points and not get into the other controversies or other strong feeling about religion or about creation of Pakistan, partition, all those things, these are the very sensitive areas, and we can get trapped into those discussions. We are thinking that if we want to move forward, what are our common threads and what can we do together? Because at the end of the day, I think that whether we call it India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, the land has history of more than 2000 years, even more than that.
Yeah.
So the culture which has been there, of course we have artificially divided 75 years ago, but there are so much common elements between India and Pakistan. And I can talk about my visit to Karachi in 1991 at one point, but it just reconfirmed my feeling that how much common socially, culturally we are than our differences. The differences are primarily artificially exacerbated and politically misused, in my opinion. But at the end of the day, on the ground, this land, which is culturally and socially, we have so much common threads. And therefore, our focus is, as I said, 5 things: health, education, environment, improving legal system, and how we can strengthen the democratic institutes. And if we work on these 5 things, and when I say that we have a very detailed kind of layout, that we want at least 5% of GDP to be spent on health, 5% of GDP needs to be focused on education, how we can improve our legal system. Very simple thing about legal system. It is so hard for a common average man to file even FIR.
Mhm.
And from that onward, there is a tremendous corruption and whatnot in the legal system, because until and unless we have a good justice system, people's aspirations and they are going to be strangulated, and they are going to be angry at the state. So I think improvement in the legal system is important. Environment is another huge thing. I mean, we talk about everything, but at the end of the day, look at the floods in Pakistan, and we will have more common environmental issues because the weather and the global warming, what we call, and the glaciers of Himalayan glaciers from which we all get the water, India and Pakistan. And I think there are common issues of environment which is going to be huge. And ultimately what happens is when we have a scarcity of water, ultimately those frustrations are going to take a religious turn at the end of the day. People don't realize that at the basic level, it is the education, health, water, justice. These are the common issues which a common man is interested. Their politics is limited to bread and butter and housing and growing their, protecting their family. They want to just live common life, and that's what we should be focusing on. And there is so much common between India and Pakistan. And then the fifth thing is the democracy. I think, in my opinion, I see a tremendous hunger for democracy in Pakistan, and that is a good sign. I understand the history and how the army has really kept a tremendous grip, but I still think positively that there is a tremendous hunger for democracy in Pakistan. I would, however, think that I would like a new generation take interest in politics, in a common issues, and create a new party in Pakistan, which is really beyond the old parties which are run by the family driven enterprises. I'm talking about PML, PPP in Pakistan, Congress Party in India. We need a new generation, because politics is always going to be there at the end of the day, and new generation should get involved in politics, which is addressing the people's common problem. Again, I'm coming back to health, education, environment, water, things like that. So this is our aim to me and Dr. Jafar Iqbal have come together, and there are other physicians, and then other lot of other people who are joining to pursue a way forward for a collaboration between India and Pakistan. So that is our peace initiative. Talking about Congressman Rohit Khanna, he's a young, uh, progressive, very energetic, forward-looking congressman from California, Silicon Valley, and he is a member of India Caucus in U.S. Congress as well as Pakistan Caucus. And when he became member of Pakistan Caucus, I think he faced quite a bit backlash from a lot of Indian diaspora, Indian American community, that why you are becoming part of Pakistan Caucus. But I think his aim is to see peace and prosperity in South Asia. And for that, I think the dialogues are important. For that, we need to understand each other's perspective. As I mentioned previously, what Jainism is recommending is to take a complete view, anekantavad, pluralism. And then once we understand each other, it is very easy to resolve the issue in a way. But if there is no engagement, then what happens? There is a presumption and assumption, and then things are what we call a mustard seed is made into mountain. And then these religious feelings are so sensitive that you can flare up a small thing into the big thing, which is the biggest problem. And Congressman Rohit Khanna understands that, and he wants to pursue a good relation between Indian and Pakistani diaspora, and therefore, if we are able to impact a situation on the ground, we have to get engaged with the groups both in India and Pakistan who are working for peace, working for common issues. The peace group, in my opinion, ultimately at the end of the day, peace is also politics. And we should get engaged in those forces who are really interested in bringing two communities and two nations together. We have such a huge potential between these two nations. There are so many areas that we can collaborate, that the potentials are great. But I think, to me, it looks like that current ruling elites in both countries are benefiting from the status quo, from the current Kashmir issue, and therefore the beneficiaries are more stronger of the status quo, although common people, common average man on both sides are suffering because of the so much polarization. So
So, Dr. Shah, कितनी
Go ahead.
कितनी कामयाबी हुई आपको अब तक इस मिशन में? कितने लोग हैं जो लाइक माइंडेड लोग हैं, वो कितने हैं अमेरिका में या इंडिया में, पाकिस्तान में? और क्या खन्ना साहब जो हैं, इज ही सपोर्टिव ऑफ योर इनिशिएटिव?
He is supportive of our initiative, and actually, I'm hoping that eventually there is actually a South Asia caucus.
दैट वुड
So
बी
that
ग्रेट.
if we are able to form a South Asia caucus, then the polarization would go down, because what happens is when there are two countries have their own caucuses, they keep pushing their agenda, and then what happens is the people who are benefiting from the status quo, they get more grip on those caucuses. So in my
राइट.
opinion, if we have like an Himalayan caucus, say for example, or a South Asia caucus, which looks at South Asian situation in a comprehensive way. And I
राइट.
tell my Indian friends, and I said, India wants to be a global player. We need a peace with our neighbor. A stable Pakistan, a progressive Pakistan, a democratic Pakistan is going to be very beneficial to India.
यस. वेरी
We
ट्रू.
we we want Pakistan to be stable in its own way, and so we should not be happy. I talk to my friends, Indian friends here and in country, that we should not be happy with what's going on in Pakistan, because at the end of the day, we cannot change our neighbor. We cannot change the geography, and we need to deal with Pakistan just like we dealt with Bangladesh. We want to get involved. I think one of the our current initiative is that maybe there could be a joint task force for terrorism between India and Pakistan, because look at the TTP issue in Pakistan,
राइट.
and if that make Pakistan unstable in one or the other way, it trickles down into the cross border. So again, I'm hoping for the best. I think there are a lot of takers for our vision. There is a lot of interest. There is still a lot resistance also. I would not say that things have been easy. When we talk about peace, people always think about, okay, maybe I'm a less patriot, but that's not the case. Peace actually is patriotic, in my opinion.
राइट.
And really, the other sad part of politics and polarization is that the politics has been made a kind of binary choice, which it is not. Politics is not a binary event. Actually, I think it's a three-dimensional event. And we divide things into India, Pakistan, Hindu, Muslim, right, left, conservative, liberal, and as if like you kind of force upon someone to decide whether you are this or that, and this label kind of thing, even though it makes someone's understanding easy, but it is at the same token, politics is not binary, and people need to understand that there are a lot of multiple aspects of any political event. But coming back to our peace initiative, it has been a really very satisfying to us. Number one, even though we are here, I have been here now for last 30 years. I tell everybody that it is very easy. This is a very important statement. It is very easy to come out of India, but India will never come out of me. Same way, someone who is born, raised in Pakistan, if you ask any Pakistani diaspora outside Pakistan, they will tell you the same thing, that their love towards Pakistan is very strong. They want to really contribute whatever they can in a way. The question is, again, it comes down to combining the forces of cooperation and peace. And that networking, it is not an easy task in a way. And there has been a lot of misunderstanding about history. And I'm sure the textbook which are being taught in Pakistan and India, and that's how people learn about each other history, and the truth can be something different, because the history is always written by the ruling elites.
Right.
They will teach what they want the new generation to be thinking. So it is another big issue, that how can we have a spread of a proper history. And I want to thank social media. At least social media nowadays
Yeah.
is enabling a proper distribution of the different aspects of the history. Like you and me are talking right now because of
Yeah.
the technology and social media. So I think I'm hoping that social media can play a good role to bring people of both nationality, both countries together.
वेरी ट्रू. आपने डॉक्टर साहब बात की कश्मीर की, तो मैं यहाँ पे अपने दोस्तों से, पाकिस्तानियों से ये कहता रहता हूँ, इसमें भी शो में भी कहा है, वैसे भी, कि पाकिस्तान को एक कास्ट बेनिफिट एनालिसिस करना चाहिए इस इशू का, कि इससे हमें कितना फ़ायदा हुआ है और कितना नुकसान हुआ है. And there are many people who in private at least would accept that Kashmir issue has become a millstone around Pakistan's neck. हमारी जो रूलिंग एलीट है उसने इतना प्रोपेगेंडा किया, इतना वो लोगों को जो है ना एक तरह से ब्रेन वॉश कर दिया या इंडोक्ट्रिनेट कर दिया और एजुकेट नहीं किया. सो अगर हमारी एलीट जो है वो हमारे मीडिया को इस हद तक ही आज़ाद कर दे कि दे शुड बी एबल टू डिबेट द कश्मीर इशू इन अ फ्री एंड फेयर मैनर, और इंडियंस को भी आप बुलाएं और इंडियंस जो हैं वो पाकिस्तानी चैनल पे बात कर सकें जैसे हम कर रहे हैं. यू कैन डिसएग्री विदाउट बीइंग डिसएग्रीएबल एज दे से. तो अभी जो है ऐसी खबरें आ रही हैं कि पिछले जो हमारे आर्मी चीफ थे वो कुछ चाह रहे थे कि इंडिया के साथ अच्छे ताल्लुकात हो जाएं और कश्मीर इशू को हम 20 साल के लिए या 30 साल के लिए फ्रीज कर दें. तो उस पर एक मैं वीलॉग देख रहा था कि उसमें हमारे जो फॉर्मर फॉरेन मिनिस्टर थे शाह महमूद कुरैशी, उन्होंने कहा इमरान खान को कि आप इससे एग्री ना कीजिएगा, अदरवाइज पीपल वुड से दैट यू सोल्ड आउट कश्मीर. सो इस हद तक जो है अब जाने से पहले बहुत ज़रूरी था मेरे ख्याल में कि अगर मीडिया पे एक फ्री डिबेट आप कर देते तो 4-5 महीने बाद, 6 महीने बाद, एनी गवर्नमेंट विल बी एबल टू टेक सच important step. Unless you prepare the public opinion, you cannot take such a big step. So any final
True.
thoughts, sir, before we
Yeah,
close?
so you brought out an important issue about Kashmir. I wanted to tell you something about Kashmir. In my opinion, and it's kind of a little bit crude sort of a explanation, or kind of a labeling, but Kashmir in a way has become business, so to speak, which benefits ruling elites and Pakistani army. And unless the other forces are strong enough to understand this complexity, um, it will not get resolved, number one. And I'm talking from Indian perspective. The rise of BJP and rise of Modi is, we can count two or three important causes, and Kashmir is one of them actually. That of course, number one reason was that failure of Congress party, and that being family driven, probably one of the cause why there is a rise of BJP. The corruption issues in the Congress leaders. But the another very, very important reason why BJP and Modi got political success actually is Kashmir. Pakistan has done lot of misadventure, I call, and they may have done for their own political gain. That's different story, but it has really helped India, especially BJP and Modi in that sense. So I kind of joke around that, in fact, Modi should thank Pakistani army for his own success, because in one way, the more Pakistan misuse Kashmir issue, actually it is benefiting BJP and Modi. And I tell you, one of the most important community which has suffered because of, not only because of partition, but because of the Kashmir issue, is Indian Muslims. In one way. So it's like such an irony that Pakistan, which was created for Muslims of South Asia, Indian Muslims are the actually most suffered party because of whatever is going on. It Kashmir issue in one way is more of a symptom, because what is going on actually is that Pakistan wants to or continue to justify its creation by taking Kashmir, because while for India, Kashmir is important for its secular identity. So in one way, it is such a psychological fight also. And I'm not sure whether if we resolve the Kashmir, whether actual psychological fight will be over or not. You see what I'm saying? So Kashmir in one way is a complex issue. And therefore, in our peace initiative, we have kept Kashmir and issues of terrorism, issues of religion on the sideline, because if we get trapped into that issue, we will be really not focusing on the real issues which are important for common people of India and Pakistan. But that's what I can say. Again, I'm very optimistic about peace and prosperity in South Asia. And I want to request the viewers that if they can join us by contacting AAPPSA, and they can form the local groups which are more interested in cooperation, peace, prosperity, health, education, environment. And that's what we are looking for. And we have to remember South Asia represents 1/5 of humanity. It is one of the most ancient culture. We have a lot to offer to the world.
So thank you very much, Dr. Saab.
Thank you.